was going to tell you an anecdote yesterday about how I actually went through a time warp. How I went through some kind of strange power grid time warp vortex thing. Now, this is an entirely true story. It took place in May of 1980, in Lancaster and environs, Lancaster, California. You'll understand the significance of the Lancaster location when I go on. So anyway, in 1980, I had been roadie and doorman. I was working at the Tourist Tavern in Venice, working the door for this band called Andy and the Rattlesnakes that I used to write songs for and jam with. They later mutated into Burning Sensations. They had a minor hit with Feel Like Jonah in the Belly of the Whale. They were an early MTV pop success. So anyway, in this earlier stage, it was Andy, Morley Bartnoff, Paul Axe on guitar. Paul Axe was now with Pink Floyd, the Barber. A whole host of luminaries. Mike Tempo was the percussionist. This guy named... they started with Joel Martinez, the drummer. He was the first drummer in the pop. He was half Austrian, half Mexican band.
Turn around.
She looks lovely today. I know, she's adorable. We're not going to have any nice stuff in this movie, though. It's kind of like the real hard, what you go through in a working day. Oh, no, hardly. We don't have the budget. Well, that's later.
Oh, no.
You know what happened to me? I got back from Vegas. I went to Vegas last week.
Yeah.
I went there. I left in my $15,000 car. I came back. I was riding a brand new $250,000 bus. But anyway. Okay, so this whole thing takes place in Lancaster, California. I was, thanks for being part of it. What is your name, Don? Helen. Au revoir. That's what Nixon said as he left office and was whisked away into a helicopter. We'll see if Helen gets the same presidential treatment. Okay, so here's the deal. I had formed a long association with this band, co-writing songs, working the door, being a roadie for them. So then I had another friend, Tom Tricoli, who had returned from Australia where his mother was directing television for the BBC. Elvis Costello, great guy. Very nice. Actually, it's one of the Housemarque. It's a very cool white soul band from Brixton. And I hooked Tricoli up for them to being a roadie. In these early stages of Tricoli's existence, he was kicking drugs at gateways under the supervision of Dr. Eugene Landy, who later became quite famous for the Brian Wilson Association. And Landy also wrote a book called The Dictionary of Hip in 1971, where he had terms like cool means groovy, see groovy. You know, everything was like groovy means cool, see cool. It was really, and like rap session, when a group of kids get together to speak. So I introduced Tricoli to these other friends of mine, Andy the Rattlesnakes. We all sort of hit it off. And I came up with a mental brainstorm since Cal Schenkel, world famous for Trout Mass Replica and all the Zapp album covers and the Tom Waits album covers. One night I had a broken thumb and I was zoned out on codeine, and Tricoli was living down on Oak Street with this nurse. And I was sort of feeling a little better. You know, the pain was wearing off, and I'd broken my thumb playing basketball while I was a teacher's aide at SMASH, the Santa Monica Alternative Schoolhouse. And we were thumbing through the phone book, going, let's just see if we could meet anybody in here. And Cal Schenkel, Willoughby. So we called the number. A guy answers the phone, and he goes, yeah, and we're going, my name's Tom, and I just want to say, Cal, I love your artistic work. I'm a huge fan of yours. And he said, I don't have any fans. Who the fuck is this? Did Frank put you up to this? And I'm going, no, I'm a fan. I'm here with another friend of mine, also named Tom. We're both huge fans of your work. And he goes, well, what are you guys doing? And I said, well, we just thought we'd phone you and say hi, and, you know, if at some point we could meet you and just shake your hand or whatever, or have you autograph an album cover, we'd love to. He goes, no, I mean, what are you doing right now? I go, well, we're just sitting around, you know, having a couple of beers. And he said, well, why don't you come on over? It's my birthday. So?
There's a question. Are you me?
Next thing to do, we neither of us had a car, so we had to find a car. So we ended up borrowing a car from this waitress at the Brandywine Cafe on Lincoln named Rosalie. So we went on over there, By the time we arrived there, Calvin was stone-plastered, drunk out of his gourd. And Katie was there, ministering to his every need, getting him beers and stuff. He was hunkered down in the chair. There's a lot of people like streaming out when we arrived, right? And right as we arrived, Tom Waits arrived, and he was like throwing cherry bombs in the middle of the street. Neighbors were going, "We're going to call the police on you! Stop that noise!" And he kept like lighting more. And so we go upstairs. Calvin lived on the second floor. And as I say, Calvin's all hunkered down in his chair. He goes, "We got to put on some music." And we come and we go, "Hi, I'm Tom," and I'm Tom. And he goes, "Oh, the boys. Okay, these are the boys I talk to. They're my fans." And he goes, "Get them wherever they want." And so Calvin goes, "We got to have music." So he like stumbles across the room and he picks up this record that has cat hairs and everything all over it. All his albums are like lying out in the middle of the floor. He jams it on. It's a Warner Brothers 50 Years of Great Motion Pictures salute album they'd gotten comp. And he puts on John Wayne's monologue from the Green Berets. And a couple of years have elapsed at this time. So my idea was, Andy and the Rattlesnakes were managed by this guy. He was an aspiring film guy. He produced bad movies like Galaxina. He later went on to produce Home Alone. Scott Rosenfeld, it'd be nice to get in touch with him again now that he produced Home Alone. It's worth like $30 billion. Then we were on the same softball team and stuff, and he was managing Andy and sort of budging him. And I went to him and I go, "We have the greatest artist in America, the king of album covers and album cover design, the man who invented it all, Cal Schenkel. Since Andy is putting out his version of Solitary Man, Neil Diamond's song, on 45, let's have Calvin do all the packaging for it." The idea was, we'd go out to Lancaster, Palmdale area, and we'd shoot the band in a rail yard at night with like trains going by. We'd get the retinal retention shot of like, you know, the light on the train sort of smearing past the band's heads. Something like that. So we begin this car caravan out to Lancaster. It was Calvin, Tricoli, and I, Scott Rosenfeld. The interesting part is Tricoli and I took his motorcycle. Tricoli and I went on the motorcycle. Calvin took his own van. And the rest of the band were in two cars. Andy's Plymouth Duster, and Scott had like a BMW or something. All right, so we're all like going out to Lancaster. So we stopped first at Aqua Dulce Air Park. This is about May 7th, 1980. We stopped where they shot a lot of Star Trek episodes and High Chaparral and all those. You know, it's all those unique overhanging rock formations, all jaggedy. And it was looking pretty picturesque and whatnot. You know, very beef. It was kind of mining the territory Beef Harbor later used on Ice Cream for Crow. So we took a bunch of shots there. Calvin was just like getting into it. You know, a bunch of shots of us on rocks. Bear in mind, the time frame is very important in this, because we got out there approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we shot there for a while, about 3 hours or so. Then we decided we'd find a rail yard somewhere. So we found one in Palmdale. Found this great old Southern Pacific rail yard with like rusted out box cars and, you know, the entire great ambiance of the rail yard. So we're there, and we're shooting until night falls, and a bunch of additional shots. We found this old diner, very cool, like Edward Hopper diner place out there, illuminated by this one street light. It was like the one street lamp on this entire kind of desolate, desert, narrow street, and with this old funky diner, pure white, which said "Eats" on it. So we did a bunch of shots of the band in front of that with like the Venetian blinds behind them, the street lamp streaming down. So anyway, it gets to be 11 p.m. and we decided we'd taking photographs and whatnot. So Scott, I remember X was playing that night for the first time ever at the Roxy. It was like a big deal, and Andy and all the guys were like, you know, huge X heads at that point. So they were all like intent upon getting back. So we made a bunch of phone calls. Andy's going to pick up his girlfriend back in Santa Monica. So it was 11 o'clock now. We're all looking at our watches going, cool. Yeah, okay. Do you want to go to the show? Nah. Tricoli and I go, no, we'll sit and hang around with Calvin some more. So at that point, Calvin goes, how would you guys like to meet Don? And Tricoli and I go, great. You know, we have nothing else to do. We're going to go back to LA and see guys. We got too much fun already. Let's just continue the roll. So he goes, okay, why don't you guys follow me? I got to go to his house first and see if it's cool. And so we follow him. We go to a Denny's. So Calvin goes, why don't you guys wait here? And I'll be back. I'll try to get Don to come back out here and meet you guys, or we'll go over to his place. It'll just be 15 minutes. It was just up the road. So we go, great. Boy, we're in heaven. So Jacoby and I immediately get into this coffee drinking marathon. We get into this coffee drinking check. Yeah, let's have some coffee. Oh, are you serving Grand Slam breakfast still? Okay, great. Yeah, we'll have one of those too. So we're like eating, enjoying ourselves. We notice, looking around, the entire place is like gone into this 50s warp. There are at least 3 different car clubs there, all like leather jacketed, touch of evil extras, all like pompadour, like very Latin kind of car club thing happening. And we're like the only gabacho white boys in there, so it's pretty fun. We're like sitting there doing that and going, wow, this is great, Denny's. This is fucking great. So Jacoby's looking at his watch. I'm looking over the clock. It's like 1. We'll have some more coffee. Finally it's 2, the waitress gets off her shift. We're drinking some more coffee. It gets to be about 2:30. Jacoby and I run this great role. We're just talking about music and Australia and everything in the world. And we start to think, this is sort of like Calvin in a way. He'd done these kind of amps before, where he'd go off somewhere, and he'd get totally preoccupied. He's the kind of person that would go out to buy a salamander, then come back, he'd have new Venetian blinds. He'd go out to buy pencils and come back with a dog or something. So we're sitting there, it's about 3 a.m. Finally, we see Calvin's van pull into the lot. It's like 3 a.m. We're like totally cracked on coffee at this point. But he comes into the diner and he has this guy with very thinning hair with him. And he walks over to the booth and he goes, "This is John French, a real good friend of mine." We go, "Hey, Drumbo, great, wow, great to meet you." And Calvin goes, "It's been a really bad day. Don's brother-in-law got killed in a motorcycle crash." He goes, "I can't believe it." He was like all shaken up. And John French was kind of in a bad mood. And he says, "So it's really not cool to see Don for like a month or so." And we're all like, God, it's pretty awful. So we're trying to console Calvin, John. So anyway, we started talking, and John goes into this whole jag about how he's giving up music for Christianity. He's completely born again. He's God-filled with the Spirit of Christ. And he went into this one story about how when he was doing Strictly Personal, this woman dosed him with acid. And he felt that while he was drumming on that album, and while he was singing On Tomorrow, that he was possessed by the devil. And he said he really wanted to get away from that entire thing, the demonic possession. He said rock and roll is inherently evil, that it is the Antichrist. But he was telling Jacoby, I wouldn't seek a career in music. You should put your guitar in better uses, for Christ and stuff like that. So finally he's talking a little more, and then he gets into this whole thing about how Marcel Duchamp is his favorite artist. And he's into just walking around Lancaster and picking up found objects and sort of welding them all together en masse into these huge pieces. And so we thought that was pretty cool. So we're talking and talking and talking. And at this point, it's getting pretty much towards time. It's about 5 or so. And John goes, "Why don't you come back to the house, real quick, and I'll show you some sketches I've done and stuff." We go, "Cool." And he goes into the house, and he takes out this pad, and he does this thing on it. He's just sketching with the pad to us. Then he cuts it in half, hands one to Tom and one to me.